Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Harmony. I am a twin flame expert helping twin flames around the globe face fears, find freedom, and glow forward on fire. Welcome to my weekly glow show. I had mentioned I'm doing a 5-part series that is getting into alignment with sacred self, getting into alignment with source, which is today's part 2, getting into alignment with source. Part 3, 4, and 5 will also be coming, and even though this is technically a weekly glow show, I'm going to try to get these in a like as fast as I can, and that way I can get this message out there. I'm being shown by guidance that this is very much needed. I want to thank everyone for your comments. I want to thank for the emails I'm receiving of the life transformations that is taking place just from being a part of my journey. I love being able to watch people blossom and bloom from the bud to the full bloom. And so I want to thank you for being here today. I want to thank you for being a part of my journey, and I want to thank you for showing me that I am in alignment with source, because that is why I'm here. I'm here to share a message I've surrendered. Being a vessel is surrendering to source. I have become a vessel for source. And today's message is a message from source. And we're talking about getting in alignment with source. So this could not be more appropriate. I've just learned to kind of get out of the way. I've learned to allow divine to take over. I never always know what's coming out of my mouth. I just try to surrender. So thank you. Thank you for being here. So let's talk now about getting into alignment with source. But as we do, I want to just briefly share just a couple of things about that we have to do before we can get into alignment with source, in case you missed part 1, which is getting into alignment with the sacred self. And I call that, the gateway of enlightenment. It is going through the ascension process, but it's also about crossing the rainbow bridge, and about how we have to get from where we're at in that lower self, that dark night of the soul. We have to do, all the steps that it takes to get across to the other side of the bridge, to reach our enlightenment through that ascension process and the rainbow bridge. And in order to, do that, we have to first, I mentioned there's 7 steps. So we have to first acknowledge and identify our triggers. We have to acknowledge and identify what it is that we are to learn, and see our obstacles as lessons and teachers, and stop seeing them as blocks, and really acknowledge the journey. And when we can do that, that's 75% of saying, we're getting across this bridge. The rest of it is then going into the aspect of learning how to surrender to the process, and, letting go, basically. But being in surrender mode and allowing and just saying yes, really, just showing up to say yes. And then once we do that, we have to learn how to trust the process. We have to be willing to trust that there is a divine plan, that we are in alignment with something we signed up for. And that's what I'm going to talk about today is, we're seeking outside of ourselves for the things that's already inside of us. It's like we're wanting to go home, a home being, where our heart is, home being that inner aspect of the concept of inner peace and happiness and joy and love, and all of the things that are of high vibration, and also really purpose, which is coming in the series here. But we know we're seeking something. But we've been seeking it outside of ourselves, and to trust that this process is a divine plan, and that when we can get out of the way and surrender and say yes, and then trust that, then that helps shift us into alignment, realizing that home is inside of us. So I am home. Everything I need for this journey is in me. Source is in me. Source energy is in me. Everything you need for that journey is already pre-programmed. And so then once you, trust the process, or learn to trust it by creating an elevated trust meter, by learning how to get out of the head and shift into heart and start viewing life from your heart, that's the shift. Going from the head to the heart is the shift getting into source and the source energy. And operating from our heart and viewing life through our heart is living through source, knowing it's inside of us. You know, home is where the heart is. The heart is inside. You know, and we think about home, like I said, as being like this, like destination, a location, an address. We think of it as being something that we, you know, are striving to fix up and create, you know, invite our friends and our family and create this warm coziness, you know, but that still we look at that as a representation from the outside, when really it's all that on the inside. And then the outside will follow and match the inside vibration. So then once we do that, we start to, you know, release our past is the next one. So we revisit that and idea of continuing to trust this process, because that tends to be one of the most hardest pieces. People get stuck there. That's kind of in the middle, and that's where people keep getting stuck, is not knowing whether to trust. And you know, you have to, you know, I say this so many times, to believe in a twin flame journey, you have to believe in unicorns. So you better, you know, start to really test that faith so that you can trust this process and get out of the way. After we start the releasing through layers of karma, as we go down through the layers of karma, it's increasing our trust, because we're seeing things move and we're seeing things shift and we're creating awareness, and it's breaking down the illusion of the self-doubts. Then we start to fight the process sometimes just from the ego. So the other aspect of that is we have to let go of control, because then we still try to control the situation as we're going across the bridge, and we know that there's a plan. We know that we're trying to get in alignment. We know that we're letting go. We can see the process happening, but then we have these episodes that in the process, it's like surrendering to the control in itself that we have in our mind's eye of letting go, and it's retraining that aspect. And, you know, whenever I shifted and letting go of that control, for me, also had to do with shifting from my divine into my divine femme and my divine goddess side, which is the shift into source that we're going to talk about. And as I did that, I said it was like, you know, a herd of wild horses inside of me, and that I felt like a wild Mustang, and it was going to be a wild ride, because putting a saddle on me meant that it was going to be an experience, because I knew how to be in control. Trust me. I knew exactly how to be in control, the driver of my own life, and I was always in a rush, and I had direction, and I had focus, and I had a plan, and I knew I could get things done, and I was always the fixer. And I'm going to slow down long enough if you don't, you know, for you to jump on my bus, or I'm going to run you over. That's how I operated in life. From that type A, ego-driven, you know, I was a very positive person. I didn't have to have ego from a standpoint of like egotistical or better than thou, but I knew I could get things done. And, you know, I had a mission. I was on a mission. And, you know, like I knew it's like us saying, I am going to be in control of getting this done, and surrendering that the I am is source, and that the I am is the plan, and that the I am is going to unfold in a divine process innately with the innate intelligence, and I don't have to control that. And that letting go of that control is how we get into that. Now, then, you know, the other process of that is seeing those things as our obstacles as teachers, which I already mentioned, and out of all of this, learning how to let down our walls in this trusting process so we can be open to receive. And these things I'm talking about here is how we cross the rainbow bridge. Now, I covered that in great detail in part 1. That's coming through again in this part, just so you know, because I feel like people need to understand what we're talking about here. And also because guidance always, you know, shows and shares things. Sometimes you might hear it a different way. You might reach a different person or a different time, or it's that one time it might just click. So that might have sounded like a little bit of repetition if you've watched part 1. But just know it's setting the stage, and it's going to be a piece of building on. So So as I mentioned, the I am. So here we go. Fasten your seatbelt. The goal here is getting in the I am presence with all that is. That is getting into alignment with source. Now, what does it mean? What is I am? Okay. I am is really making a statement that I am, it's already done, it's present, it's inside, it's aligned. I am. It's not I am going to be. I am already that. I am already connected. I am not separate. And it's not always what we say, it's how we say it. So it's like, for instance, and I got this from Dr. Wayne Dyer, long-term mentor, spiritual teacher. You'll hear me talk a lot about him. You'll read a lot about him in the books, the book I wrote and books coming up. But I learned this from him, is that in the I, he talks about and has a meditation called I Am That I Am. So I would recommend you look that up and do that guided meditation. It's a very powerful one for manifesting, and it helps you realize that everything is in you. And what he says on this, I'm sure he got it from some of his teachers, but it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So I am that I am. I am that. Okay, that being outside of me, separation. I am that I am. Or I am that I am. Okay, you follow me? I am that I am. I am that I am. I am is claiming that I am, meaning everything is in me. We are already that. I am that says it's outside of me. I am that. It's not inside. So I am that I am. Okay? So it's switching the process. It's switching the conscious perception to being moving away from the illusion that everything is outside of you and that source is outside of you. So today my goal is to show you that you are source and the source is in you and that we are a piece of the collective and that we are, even in there I'm going to talk about I am that one, So the other thing is, Saint Germain is one of my direct guides. I have a lot of direct guides, but our team, I have a council. Saint Germain is one of my direct guides based on the fact, he's head of the twin flames, and he really directs and counsels me a lot in the direction of, my messages for twins and how everything kind of comes together as twins. And I do a lot of channeling in from Saint Germain. And I am of the violet ray, and so is Saint Germain and Lady Portia. And that is, one of the I guess, concepts that we do when we connect with source. We start to shift the veil and we start to connect also with source. We start to connect with our guidance. Okay, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, because people, there's people that don't understand that, they want to activate their gifts and they want to gain these things and they know that can be done. And I'm going to share with you a few things about that in a minute. Okay, so we'll get there in a minute. I don't want to get you off track. I have a lot to cover, and it's going to be very powerful. But I will tell you something I will recommend, just like I did with the I Am That I Am guided meditation with Dr. Wayne Dyer, is with Saint Germain. He has the I Am discourses that I would recommend that you study and read. And this is a newer concept for me in the last little bit. I haven't studied all of that. There's a lot of different pieces and parts and books to that. But if you want to learn more, these are two suggestions I would recommend that you follow to get more connected. Because if this is something you're seeking to activate your gifts, and you're seeking to make a better connection with guidance, and you're seeking to be alignment with source, which is getting in the glow, getting in the flow, getting in the I am presence of that I am, and I become the genie, basically. I am the genie. I am the co-creator. I don't have to seek outside for anything. It is there. So, I am light. Today we're going to talk about this. I talked about this a while back too, and like the surrender to silence and the 3 degrees of separation being I am light, I am love, I am one. And I was being shown that this is the gateway to the expanded consciousness, that like once we do all this inner work and we've shifted across this bridge and we start to move into expanded enlightenment, and that means that we're expanding that fifth dimensional energy. And now what we're trying to do is expand further into that fifth dimensional energy, and then pull and anchor that fifth dimensional energy into the physical plane through us as a vessel, and anchoring it into the three-dimensional like planet, world, universe, reality. And so this is why we're going through this, to understand that when we can surrender, you can become the vessel. This is not, everybody has these gifts. This is not just me. You know, there's a lot of people out there doing this, and you probably are looking within yourself and have been questioning and wondering, you know, about the concept of creating a deeper connection to your guides. Well, realizing that it's all in you is part of it, and the surrender and crossing this rainbow bridge is part of that. So really, I encourage you to work on those things and follow these tips, and you know, make the connection with the I am presence, because this is part of it. So we're going to talk about the I am light first, okay? And so what is light, really? So we're saying I am light, so we're claiming a light, all right? Light is energy. That means I am divine energy, basically, which means if I am divine energy, that means I am source, and I have source inside me. I'm like a piece of source, a collective piece. You know, we are a soul, and that soul is basically the ancient wisdom and knowledge that comes from our higher self, that came here with the pre-programming. Then it connects into our spirit and merges with our spirit, which is our present time passion, our present consciousness, that comes in and merges with the soul and the spirit, come together, and those things ignite, creating like this awakening when they really get on board. And then we are in a, you know, these things are in a physical body. And then in that physical body, we have an energetic presence that becomes the glue that holds these pieces together into one unit. And when we have all these chaotic distortions of the monkey mind and the ego edging God out, and all these pieces in that type A driven personality, like I said, I've had to overcome. When we edge God out in that manner, we are separating ourselves, and we need to reshift that illusion and realize that really, you know, God is inside of us. And, you know, when I went to chiropractic school and graduate school, and I took extended postgraduate training on, it's basically the quantum physics dynamic and background of bioenergetic synchronization, you know, techniques, and being able to understand that quantum physics paradigm of our innate and being, and how we are these energetic electrical pulses that create all this, you know, it makes our heart beat, we breathe, all the innate intelligence that's inside of us. And so once you know, growing up, being the very analytical mind, I tend to like question, like, how can God be with everyone? You know, because we're taught God's outside of us. We're taught to fear those things too. So raised in a very religious background and home, I saw everything outside. I saw everything as fear, God-driven outside, and I couldn't understand like that concept. Once I understood the quantum physics science, because being science-oriented, and understood that and could anchor my mind around the idea that God is energy, God is light, God is part of the connection of how we tick. Every heartbeat is the heartbeat of God, basically, for everyone in the universe. world and probably multiple planets. And I want to show you this. And I showed some of this stuff in, maybe other videos, but, like I said, it's always good to see this stuff again. So we are energy. I'm going to show you. So, this is a little chicken that comes around Easter time. And for it to work, we have to create a circuit. Now, if I had somebody here and they were to touch this, it would still wouldn't chirp. But every time I touch, then it would chirp just like that, because it completes an energetic circuit. And once I understood that, this energetic concept, I could understand that God is inside. And once I understood God was inside, I started developing my own relationship in my own way that made sense to me, because somehow I couldn't wrap my head around God being something outside of me, and how God could be with everybody at one time, if it was something outside. And, in being taught, it was this He, whereas God is the balance of the masculine and the feminine, the alpha, the omega, the, yin and the yang. And so, energy cannot be created or destroyed. And therefore, when you look at it this way, I am the anatomy of God. I am the innate intelligence of God. I am that I am, that I am, that I see I am. What do you see? I am that I see. I am that I seek. So what we have to do then, if we're light, and we're saying that I am light, which means I am source, a piece of source collectively, means we're already aligned with source. Source is not outside of us. So what are we searching for? Right? So it becomes now, when I said the difference here is the key. So park up on this. The soul has the ancient wisdom. The spirit has the that energy. Okay? When they come together, that activates the ancient wisdom. So the spirit activates the soul, which is activating the ancient wisdom and creating this awakening of the light inside. And then we start to remember who we are. And that's how we create our awakening, so to speak. And then, so I'm going to share with you what I call my 5 A's to ignite that light within. So the first A is to acknowledge that we are light, and then I have light inside of me. And then we have to accept the concept. We have to say yes to our journey. We have to commit to the soul's journey, because ancient wisdom inside the soul activated by the spirit. That is the awakened part. So that's the third one. So we're acknowledging, we're accepting, and now we're awakening. Then guess what that does? This is the part everybody wants to know. It activates your spiritual gifts that are already inside of you. We all have spiritual gifts. We are all healers. We are all part of the divine. We are all here to heal. We are all here to serve. We are all here to share this collective energy of God's wisdom with, as it is in heaven, so it is in earth, and bringing it in and out and through and delivering. So here's how we activate those gifts. We align with source. We surrender to the process to become the open vessel. When we get the mind involved, we constrict. The mind constricts the energy. It creates a destruction or a interference in the pattern. So let me just see. I wasn't sure if that would do it, but I've never done that before. But that's interference in the pattern right there. See? Separate. We're in alignment. We're separate. So this is your answer right here. Separation, source. That's the first time I've done that one. That's pretty cool. So So we activate these gifts by being open, and that is the fifth A, is to allow and to be open to receive and to stop, listen, ask, allow. So we ask, listen, allow. All right. So first thing we have to do, if we want to connect to these guides and angels, we have to ask them for their assistance, meaning they're part of source. You know, that's the other thing I want to say about that. All of the angels and the guides and the ascended masters, they are in, you know, 7th, 8th, 9th, and on up dimensions, depending upon energetic patterns of all these different entities and spiritual dimensions. But, you know, within that, they are here to assist us, but can't assist us unless we ask. So we have to ask them for the assistance before they're allowed to help us. But at the same token, a lot of times people, again, look at them as, you know, let's just talk about, like, say, the religion aspect for a second. So, like, you know, when it comes to the religion base and the religion concept around angels, at least, you know, with my experience, there's dominant denominations, you know, of religion, and some are different than others. Well, that's man-made, but the angels and the guides live in a plane of non-denominational. So their energetic planes are above the box. So they're not confined to this man-made type religious aspects. But at the same token, they are the Kona governing assistants to God, and they've, you know, some of them have been on earth planes. A lot of the ascended masters, they went through the ascension. That's why I say ascension. They went through the ascension. They raised their vibration to the point where now they go back and they assist. They become a higher vibration and part of the collective high energy, fifth dimensional energy, and on up to bring that in. And so this activation of our gifts comes from letting go, comes from surrender, comes from getting out of the mind and shifting into the heart, and allowing and being open to receive. Okay, so the next one, that was I Am Light. Okay, and I'm going to move on past that for now. I think there'll probably be, I feel like there's going to be something coming to kind of sum them up in a minute. I'm not sure, but, or maybe even more to that. But for now, I feel like that's complete. So I am love. That's the second one I want to talk about. I am love means letting my light shine. Letting your light shine. That is expression of God in physical form, especially when it comes through the Christ conscious sacred heart that's shared outwardly with everyone, and going forward. And what happens is, due to the old beliefs, the old paradigms, the monkey mind, the control, the ego, and the list just goes on, but you get the point. Those constrictive thoughts prevents us from, it creates fear and creates all the false events appearing real that sets us up to block ourselves from moving forward across that bridge and reaching a place of what our destiny is. And so what we have to do is learn how to collapse the mind and move into the heart, creating the heart compass. So in order to do that, we have to start living from a place of heart and not head. We have to then start to show up as love. And when we show up as love, that is self-love. And when we be love, that is source love. When we share the love, that is like love with all that is. When we love life, that is an expression of the Creator. And then when we can experience the eternal love, we can love all that we do. And that also, all of this brings in the highest manifestation of like eternal love with your beloved. That now that's where you connect at from that high vibrational energetic love, and that you can't meet your greatest potential being in love with that divine partner from a head. It's a heart connection. So a lot of people, you're connecting from heart to head or head to head or heart, you got to get to heart. So, two people might be coming head to head. And a lot of times the divine feminine is coming from heart, divine masculine is coming from head. It doesn't line up. So within ourselves, we have to shift from head to heart as individual divine feminine, divine masculine. Then when we come in to reunite, then we have to also shift into heart-to-heart connections. All right, so beyond the mind, the heart beats. And so I want to share with you a couple ways and a couple things you can do in order to shift from the head to the heart. The first thing is start to reframe your thinking patterns. Every time you have that monkey mind appear, catch yourself for whatever that doubt is, whatever that fear is, whatever that negative experience is, and look at it from the mind standpoint and acknowledge it so that you're accepting all that is, because it's all part of you, but then you don't respond or react from that space. Then you say to yourself, okay, before I respond or react, and I'm going to process this thoroughly, you send it from your head down into your heart. And you say, heart, what do you desire? What should I do? What do I feel about this? And the heart says, you know what? Let's ask God. And the heart sends it down to God. God is the inner GPS system inside of us that knows everything. It's the little voice inside that knows exactly what you're supposed to do for this whole innate process, and we don't listen to it because of the mind. So when we now allow God to know the answer, okay, and then God sends that signal back to the heart, now what we learn to do is respond from the heart rather than react from the head. This is all happening at the same time. You won't shut the head out. It's there. So it's like it will get better over time, but it's reframing those thought processes and reframing those ways you think and the way you respond so much, basically. And then if you continue to have like a negative experience with it, then what you do is you just reframe it with an affirmation. And that way, when that experience happens again, you can now pull that affirmation out of your hat and start to, say, for instance, self-sabotage or like beating yourself up for repeating repetitive patterns, and I'm back in the cycle again. So when it happens, it's like, okay, and now let me just do that as an example. I feel like I need to do that. So it gives you an example. So let's just say that you've been going through this karmic purge and you keep hitting the same resistance to the same exact trigger that you need to let go of. All right? All right, so let's just say that now you're creating self-sabotage. We're going to use self-sabotage as the trigger, okay? Because you're not accepting that other piece as a part of you, and you're cutting it out or trying to. So you're going to take the self-sabotage and say, okay, rather than beating myself up and speaking negative to myself, let's send this down into the heart. And the heart says, let's ask God. And God says, no, you're not crazy. You're not repeating the same pattern. You're just layering through the karmic pieces, and it's about acceptance of that side of yourself and allowing that side of yourself to be a part of you, but knowing that inside of you there is all that is, and that you aren't that you can accept yourself for all. So now we just shifted that from self-sabotage to self-acceptance. You see what I'm saying? In the gut. So now the heart, now that goes back to the heart, and the heart leads with self-acceptance rather than self-sabotage. See the free frame? That's shifting from head knowledge to heart language. And I've been shown this with my guides in those terms. I mean, it's not that that may not exist somewhere out there, but this is the way I've been shown these to teach it and the language of it. So now, self-love is key here to filling up and creating, the wholeness of heart, because we have to, in this process, we have to, of getting back into alignment, we have to become whole again. We have to become complete again. We have to balance the masculine and feminine energies. We have to let go of the lower self and shift into the higher self. And, again, all these multidimensional things are happening at the same time. But when we can realize that we're that representation of the Creator, and we can say, I am open, I am willing, I am ready to shift into my fullest, greatest potential, show me how. Show me how to love myself. Show me how to set loving boundaries. We can talk to the guides now and ask the guides for their assistance to show you how. Now you ask, and you stop and you listen. And then you allow, and by being open to receive, to hear the answer. But what happens is a lot of times people ask, and then they want to go back to the old way of that part in that bridge. I said you got to let go of the control. And they shift back into the control and say, well, I got to figure this out. I can't wait till now. This needs to be changed now. I need to get on with my mission. I need to get here. I need to do this. This is wasting a lot of time because I should be helping. I should be doing more. I should be this. I should be that. I. Ego is I. Me, myself, and I. So, me is like that soulfully side. Myself is more like, so me would be like the soul. Myself would be like the spirit coming together with that and pulling into the higher self, so to speak. And I is ego. And we have to balance all these pieces at one time because we will never 100% cut that out. So, now I want to share with you 4 intentions that you can set from your heart. And I'm actually going to post a video link to this because I did a video on setting 4 intentions to manifest your heart's desires. And I did this quite a while back. But I'm going to post a link to it because I haven't listened to that video in a long time. I just feel like that, if you want to shift into the heart space and you want to shift, into being connected to source, it means we have to love ourselves. We have to love others. We have to love our beloved. We have to love what we do. So we need to learn how to manifest from the heart. We need to learn how to view life from our heart. And we need to learn how to start processing our emotions through our heart and not our head. So I want to share with you let me share with you those 4 things first. Then I want to share with you a little story about something that happened with me in a couple different incidences with that. So the 4 intentions would be, the first one would be setting an intention of saying, from the heart, from a place of heart, what would my perfect day look like? What is a perfect day to me? Then from a place of heart, what would, from a passion, pulling in the passion, what would my life look like if I were to view just like my life through my heart? What would my life look like if I viewed it through the heart? What does it look like? Paint a new picture. Letting go of all the past things and giving yourself a clean slate to paint a new picture with a new identity. It's create a new life. So I always say this, life is love it, live it, own it. To paint it, you got to love it, live it, own it, share it. That's life. And that's love. Same thing. So, number 3, and that intention is set from the heart. From the heart, what would my livelihood look like? Your passion, your purpose, I should say. If I could have or do anything, what would be my perfect livelihood? And I say livelihood, very intentful, because I don't work anymore. I don't drive anymore. I'm in Oz every day. I tell my clients, I'm in Oz today. From where I came from to where I'm at, I live in Oz. I'm clicking my heels like Dorothy and saying, I am home. Is that take me home? I am home. I've searched my whole life to get into this purpose and this mission. I felt it all built up inside of me. We're seeking for that home of like that purpose, that mission. I spent my whole life, this life, seeking for this. And I talk about that story in my book, Twin Flame Code Breaker. Be sure to check that out. It is so powerful. And then the fourth thing would be from the heart. What is, if you could set an intention from the heart, what does your connection to your divine, loving partner of this lifetime look like? You know, we're talking here about people want this twin flame dynamic and relationship, but they're in the middle of chaos and on a wheel doing the same cycles that need to be broke, and most people have not reset the intention from the heart of what they want that to even look like. You don't want it like it is now, but what do you want? Well, how can you expect to get what you want if you haven't clarified that, claimed it, and set an intention from your heart from it? So I encourage you to set these intentions from your heart. This is going to be a good exercise to help you start to shift from the head knowledge to the heart language, and then set the intentions from the heart going forward. Okay. I am one. Number 3. That is, I am home. That's what I was just talking about. If I'm one, that means I am complete. I am whole. I am in alignment. I am in purpose. I am, connected to all that is. And I'm merging into the alignment of the energetic aspect to also manifest the physical aspect of the alignment of my divine partner, because my partner is me, already in me, not outside of me, because we're already connected and there is no separation. Create a romance with yourself. Then you can create a romance with your beloved. Get to know that energy. Know what that energy feels like. That's what manifested into physical form. Now, there's going to be other pieces and components to that. We're going to talk about that when I get into the alignment with your twin or your divine partner. Here's the other problem. Like, let's look at this. Most people are operating from the abandonment. The abandonment is the fragments of the distortion of the soul trauma that creates the aloneness, that creates the need for filling up from outside in instead of inside out. This is what will heal the abandonment, people. Creating oneness versus aloneness. This is your goal. Oneness versus aloneness. It's already inside of you. Everything is programmed, and yes, we are, human beings, and we want, companionship, and we want friendship, and we want love, and we want all these pieces. But it's about learning how to be content with who you are, where you are at the moment. So, I want to share, this is what I want to share. It's a little bit about the I am love aspect, but this is also about the heart aspect. This is where I want to share a couple stories with you here. I have a couple different stories to share with you, but so when I was kind of doing this shift of this masculine and feminine energy and shifting into my femme and letting go of all those masculine ways and coming into this alignment, I had taken a trip and went hiking in Sedona. And in Sedona, there is vortexes of energy, and that energy is a combination of masculine energies, feminine energies, or the balance of. Well, there's a specific vortex there that is it's Magic Mountain, and it is the perfect balance of masculine and feminine energies. Well, I was really learning how to view life from the heart. And so I went hiking along this trail, and there was this flute music that was playing like the whole way. It was just this beautiful, beautiful like experience. And I just felt like the whole time I felt like I was going home. It was like leading me home. And so then I saw, when I got closer up on this mountain, I saw this from a little distance. It looked little at the time from a distance. This man playing the flute on the very top. And so I climbed up as high as I could get. I could have went a little higher. And I'm like, no, I'm going to sit right here on this ledge. And as I did, I went to sit down. there was a heart there and red rock, this red rocks in Sedona. And I was like, holy cow, this is just phenomenal. This is amazing. So I pick it up and I'm holding on to it. I'm just meditating and just listen to the guy play the music. And when he got all finished, he got down and he kind of was coming up behind me. And I turned to him and I said, that was beautiful. And he said to me, as he pulled out of his pocket another heart. And he gave it to me. And here I was completing wholeness of my masculine and feminine and completing wholeness of my heart at the time. I was filling myself up with me. I was coming complete. I was doing the shift. And he says to me, when you can view everything through your heart, it's a more beautiful experience. And I'd been saying this so many times. I was teaching this at the time even too to some other people, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this was just so much confirmation, and it's such a beautiful story, so I wanted to share that with you. And so I have a couple more to share with you in a minute, but that is how we become whole again. We mend the broken heart. I talked about my granddaughter filling the heart up that's been broken. This is how we become one. This is how there is no separation in ourselves. This is how we realize that everything that our heart has been searching for all our lives, all our eternity, is not outside of us. Home is inside. And people, like I said, people say home is where the heart is. That is how we become whole. That is how we become balanced. And when we do this and we let go and we surrender to this concept and this idea, and we realize that energy is ever changing, and we decide to let go and surrender and we grow with the flow instead of fighting upstream, then we'll start to get into the vortex, or what I call getting in the glow of our alignment. That is our alignment. That is our alignment, and everything of our journey will show up there. Everything. I can promise you. I've lived this. I heard it so many times by Dr. Dyer. And we get in our way, as I've mentioned, is the problem. And we are on a quest to return to not just our sacred self, but to return to source and to be whole and be loved and to be loved and to love ourselves and to experience this vibration of love, which is the unconditional love vibration, is, the expression of the unified Christ consciousness of the unified field, where it's in sacred geometry, the unified field comes together and operates and gives off this specific vibration. And twin flames, when they come together in reunion, they're bringing together this energy, creating the unified field of the Christ consciousness, creating the Holy Grail vessel of the that DNA of the Christ imprint in our sacred heart, creating the radiance. And the radiant heart that comes out of the bleeding heart. The bleeding heart gets broken so we can dump of all of our experiences, to dump it all out the past, so now we can mend it and become whole again and experience it. So when you're going through all this pain, is to break it open so you can fill it up again. And when you do, you're going to fill it up with the things that you that are really already inside of you, and the awakening of your gifts, and the awakening of your knowing, and the awakening of the beauty, and that all and everything, good or bad, every experience is an experience. It's our perception, and seeing it in a bad way can be an illusion. So I want to show you something. So I want to also show you, this is how powerful our thoughts, feelings, and actions are. Dr. Emoto did a study on water, and you would freeze the water, and he froze it, and he would put this frozen water in 2 different rooms, and over a period of time would speak negative words in one part of the experiment, and the other part was positive words. And the crystals that came out of the positive words were just beautiful crystals, and the ones that came out of the negative words were just
not beautiful at all. They didn't even form a snowflake. The other ones were crystal like snowflakes, and the ones that had the bad words were not. Now our body is like 72 to 78% water, and we're energetic beings operating on this vibration of energy I'm talking about. That's the conductor of all the energetic impulses of this I am energy and I am light coming in and out of us. Imagine what that's doing to our body and our soul with, thoughts, feelings, actions with all of that. But what I want to show you is this was also done through a study doing the same thing with rice, just plain cooked white rice in a jar. And one saying, I hate you, one saying I love you. And I want to show you this picture and this image. Powerful stuff. Words are powerful. Thoughts, feelings, actions mean everything. Can you see that? Isn't that just amazing? Amazing. I'm love. Be love. Share love. Show up as love. Speak love. Love yourself. So, all right. So let me just kind of tune out for a second. I want to make sure I've summed this up and see if we're complete, if there's anything else to share that I need to share in that aspect of the being one before I go forward, because I feel like a couple of the pieces are going to come through when I share with you a couple other stories. I feel like that just really to kind of sum up the I am one part at the moment is because everything is internal, that instead of seeking outside of us for the inside, we have to realize that when we become whole, complete, loving, harmonically imbalanced within our inside, that our external reality will end up becoming the internal status. And that really it's just a mirrored reflection of what's going on the inside as to what we see on the outside. So if you seek changes around you, it starts inside. If you're beating yourself up on the inside because you're not good enough still, then you need to work still on the connecting to sacred self, which is working on the concept of connecting to the self, realizing that everything within that sacred self alignment is everything is already there, and letting go of those things that are causing you not to feel good enough, which number one is expectations of yourself and others. That's one of the number one things that you need to let go of for that. So, okay, so I am the one is another little part of I am one. So it's kind of like a part two. I am one and I am the one. So this is I am the one is I am an expression of the creator. And if we're an expression of the creator, that means we need to practice and put into implementation. We should set our intentions to be the light, okay? And to do that, we need to practice the be attitudes of the creator. The I be, like I be, like being. I'm a being. I'm a spirit in a body, but I'm a being. And I am developing these be attitudes from the creator. And that means they are to be open, be at peace, be happy, be love, be patient, be forgiving, be grateful, and be serving. And when I talk about purpose coming up, and one of the, I believe it's the next series, part 3, our only real purpose in life is to love. And if we are not in service, like to be love and then to share that love to be of service, that's our only real purpose. And I'll talk more. I'm not even going to open that door yet because that's going to be, can't wait for that one. So, but what this does for us, it creates freedom, personal freedom, and we be free. So if we be light, we be free. We create enlightenment, which is in light, lighten the load, letting go, going up in vibration, creating higher conscious awareness, connecting to
all it is becoming a higher like energetic vibration that is where our light goes up and we become the light worker and we connect to more of the higher vibrational light. And then what we're supposed to do is let our light shine now. So this is where I say now we're glowing on fire. We're glowing with the flow so we can glow forward on fire and share our light that's inside. So now that's putting our light to work and letting our light be that expression of the creator and sharing and sowing those seeds of light. And that's one of the things I do in my sessions when I'm working with the guides and the angels, and I never know when this is going to happen, but guides and angels will come through and I will be sowing seeds of light for people to take this light that I've been given and shown and share and go forward. And, you know, with that being said, then I actually also I had another situation that I was shown. I'll share that in a second, but I'm sharing seeds of radiance. And that is the Christ conscious, unconditional love vibration of the heart and sowing seeds of that. And my guides have like I've tapped into that. Now in my mission, I'm sharing that. I'm only one person, but I can sow seeds and those seeds can grow. And I like to plant them on fertile ground because that way that they do their, like, it goes forward, it goes out, it expresses and grows and share this knowledge and wisdom and light and love and happiness and peace and serenity and joy, supreme joy with the world. So one of the things that along this journey, and this was around the time I had the incident happen with the Sedona trip. It was not long after that. I had also went hiking. I didn't actually hike. I went to a sunrise service at the Haleakala Mountain whenever I was in Maui, learning writing from the soul with Wayne Dyer and Hay House. And a group of us had went up on the summit and watched the sunrise. And it was one of the most beautiful experiences. And we did this activation. Some of the seeds of light were sown at that time. And at that time is when I say my veil between my full surrender had released. And not only was I tapping into the energetic presence of guidance and my skills and my activations of all my spiritual gifts and, the twin flame dynamic and experience, took gifts I already had and, merging and energetically working with my true twin of activating those things. And then going into this experience was like removing the veil. We were doing a ceremony, a little ceremony, a light ceremony. And at the time, the veil had moved. And I saw angels for the first time in color. My whole team had shown up as a celebration. It was a party. Jesus was at the forefront. And I hope I don't... Well, I might cry in this. He came to me and he asked me to put on my hands. And he placed the Sacred Heart in my hands. And then he took my hands and he put it to my heart. He told me to take the seeds of light, or seeds of radiance, of seeds of love, and to go share them with the world. And that, my friends, is why I'm here. And these tears are not tears of fear. These tears are not tears of... It's tears of joy from what I've been through, to get from where I've been to where I'm at. And to be here to share this message with you, it's all heart. It's all heart. And it is the heart of Christ. That's why I show up. That's why I'm here on a Saturday evening to share with you what I've been asked to share and to get in alignment with my own mission. And to
take this message out into the world. And so I want to share with you something too. It's such a beautiful, beautiful experience. So what we're doing in this expansion, and we're shifting. We're creating and becoming the goddesses and the high priestess and the high priest in this, and we're becoming our own version of ascended masters here on earth. And I say this is such a beautiful experience because I get to help people do this, and I share this with people, and to get them, watch them cross that rainbow bridge. There is no money, there is no like words that I can ever put into words to share with you what that means to me. I can do my best to try, but there's no words big enough for God and the expression of God and the expression of the Christ consciousness. There's just no words. And so today, this morning, I had a session with a client, and it's such a beautiful session. I asked her if I could share this story because I knew I was going to be recording this on this Christ consciousness in the heart today, and shifting into this expanded enlightenment version of I am light, I am love, and having crossed the rainbow bridge. Now we're connecting to the sacred self, moving into that and coming into the oneness of ourselves. So that being, now we're becoming those high priestess and the goddesses and whatnot. And so when we started our session this morning, first of all, I want to say this. Like, I don't normally see clients on Saturdays, and it just happened. It just aligned. It was perfect. I didn't even question it. I just knew, like, whatever. Yes, I knew I was doing videos today. So there was like this inner gut, this connection. It was meant to happen today. And the moment I saw her, she was laying back in her bed just to relax. And there was a light coming in from one side. And on the other side, was just there was, not really darkness, but there was the bright light coming in from a window. And I saw her half and half. It was like half of the dark and half of the light. And I'm like, not that you have darkness left. I told her, I said, it's not that you even have darkness left, but you're at the half place of your shifting into your becoming the goddess. That you are like right here and at this half mark. And I had to take a picture of my screen to send this to her because it was just so amazing. Like, when she even looked like two different people from the experience of the split face right down in the center. So then we started our session, and the energy portion of the session. And there were several things that came up through the session that was all confirmation of pieces of, kind of building up to the energy aspect of this. And she had mentioned to me that she had heard a buzzing in her right ear, and that it had to do with spirits, potentially being present, that your guides communicate with you more on the left side, and the angels, but your spirit guides come through more on the right side. And she had been hearing and having this buzzing thing on the right side. And we had discovered a while back that she has a child that is wanting to come in and come through, and came through as a piece of her spiritual connection. And so that we had confirmed, I was confirming for her that this child was, this energy connection she was connecting to. And then inside of her session, I watched her shift into the full goddess. I watched, first of all, the child showed up and had messages for her saying that she had shifted, that the child was there helping her shift, and that, it had several messages. I won't go into that, but the child had messages for her. But what I will say is, watching her shift it before my eyes into, from the queen to the goddess, and watching different entities come in and do different work. And what happened was, this is what I tell people, when you shift and you shift into the Christ consciousness, you no longer operate from your lower 7 chakras, and your root chakra is no longer the 7th chakra. Your heart chakra becomes your base chakra that activates your high heart, and that creates the compassion and the love and the understanding and the wisdom that you go forward, that creates the enlightenment and expanded connection to your gateway. And this, now you are at the higher self. It's like a graduation of having went through your rebirth and going through the ascension. And when you hit that mark of coming out of that and crossing that rainbow bridge, connecting to the sacred self, and you become one with source, and you've let go and you've done all these surrendering aspects, and now you realize, I am light, I am love, I am one, I've surrendered, I've let go, I am now, realize everything is inside of me, and I am the one, and I am the goddess, or I am the high priest or the high priestess. And so I saw this shift in her, and Jesus came through and told me to share with her those seeds of radiance for the Christ consciousness heart. And they were implanted in her heart from a light energy. And then she, afterwards, when we were sharing and comparing notes, and I was telling her some of these things, she could feel the shift. She even described there was nothing, everything from the lower part of her had let go. Her heart started to feel the roots take place of like a tree, like of the root chakra. She felt the expansion of her crown and everything opening up with this high vibrational divine energy light come in. And I could see her transform into the goddess, just like in visions and in sight. And it was just the most beautiful, beautiful experience. And then when we got done, we went to compare notes. And I told her about the child being present and the energy that we experienced. We both teared up and got into tears because the presence that was with us was so beautiful and so impactful that we just wanted to cry, just like I just did a while ago. It was so beautiful. And, and we were talking about living through our hearts and how beautiful it is. And, like coming from a place of being the driver and not be like letting control of things in my life and being in control of all of that, to let go and surrender to that degree, to experience the view of it through the heart, and to realize that everything now happens in my life, that it turns out better than my conscious mind could ever create. And that in the process of that, and I'm learning to enjoy the things around me. Like, we were talking about I had an incident where bird feathers had fell on me. It was being rained at one point where I never would have even looked at the birds congregating above me, let alone being showered by these bird feathers. And she had been seeing all these white bird feathers, which represents the peace and the purity and spreading your wings to fly and being free. I got to witness this morning a beautiful soul cross that rainbow bridge and gain her wings and be free for eternity. And it was so beautiful. And she felt it. And then I felt a message coming through from the child to her right at that moment. I went to shuffle the cards. And when I did, a card flew out on the floor. I had to pick it up. And when I did, this was the card that flew out. Now I want you to see that. First of all, the emotional aspect of the status of expanding your emotional range with the moon. I also want you to notice how I said that her face was half light and half dark, and we're talking about shifting here and going from the dark to the light. We're also seeing a pregnant woman here. On top of that, a number 7, which is a representation of number 7, represents her union, and a lot of things to her is in the number 7. I also want you to see that this is a rainbow card. That is a rainbow child waiting to come into existence. And then we have patience here. That being patient. And that was the message to the mother from the child, is be patient. Be still, Mom. So I challenge you to be patient, be still, be one. Stop racing through this twin flame journey to get to the relationship that you don't even want it the way it is. It won't work. Become one with yourself. Become one with the source. Know that everything inside of you already exists. The plan is already there. And accept the Christ conscious, radiant heart. And I just want to say, like, for 1 second, I need to stop. I want you to, at this moment, just to feel the presence of this Christ consciousness coming in. Because I'm hearing and feeling this presence that at this moment, that those seeds of radiance is to be coming through. So I want you to just close your eyes for me, if you will. And just take a breath. And just open your hands and open your heart to receive the Christ consciousness. And so accept the sowing seeds from Christ so that you can come home, that you can be one with yourself and to know that you are home. You're home. You're one. I want to mention David Hawkins. David Hawkins wrote a book, Power versus Force. He tracked the vibration of these emotional ranges that I talk about. And the unified field represents, basically in that are, let me start over. So in that we have low vibrational thoughts and energy, thoughts that are like the fear and the sabotage and the self-doubts, which is one of the lowest vibrational energies there are, and fear and judgment, and those things are very low. Then we go up the spectrum of feelings, and as we go up the spectrum of feelings, joy is the highest spectrum of an emotional feeling, supreme joy. Love, unconditional love that I'm talking about here, is rates of 500 calibration. Now, Jesus was 1,000 in human form. And so this Christ consciousness that we bring into and anchor as twin flames into this planet, we're anchoring in a love vibration of an energetic force that magnifies magnitudes of 500 here. Calibration. I invite you to become one with yourself and recalibrate the heart, the mind. Experience love. Experience happiness. Be free. I printed off a quote from David Hawkins. And I just want to show you this picture. I'm going to read it to you. It's unconditional love is not between you and me, or me and a thing. It is a way of being in the world. Unconditional love is not between you and me, us and our twin, or me and anything. It is a way of bringing in, a way of being in the world. It is a way of being in the world. Be attitudes. Be the light. Be the love. Be the one. Be the I am one. And you will find freedom. I can promise you, because I've walked that bridge. So, don't let anyone dull your sparkle. Fill yourself up with love. Be kind to yourself. Stop giving yourself away. Take back your inner empowerment. Our soul knows the way. It's time to stop and listen to the little whisper inside. because that whisper knows the way. Just follow it home. Follow it on the trail. Follow that trail on the way home. And let the inner light that's inside of you call you home. Come back to oneness. Come back home. Come back inside. Stop seeking outside of yourself. It's already there. It's already there. Okay. Wow. Powerful stuff. I want to thank you for joining me today. I would like to also share with you, I'll post a link to all the other videos as they come connected, parts 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Part 1 being alignment with sacred self. Part 2 being in alignment with source. Part 3 being in alignment with purpose. Part 4 being in alignment with your beloved, your twin. Part 5 being in alignment with all it is. They'll all be linked together eventually, but I will start that with this video. I also have some super, super cool things to share here for 1 second. This whole thing, I didn't know this. I don't consciously know. This stuff unfolds. I just am the vessel and let it come through. I knew this was coming through. I knew I downloaded a bunch of information. I started compiling. But out of this, I had mentioned I'm creating the the tour for the Twin Flames Return to Oneness tour, which is really about getting into alignment with these things and bringing it all into form from the 50 to the 30. And I won't share a lot, but I want to say that I got all of my stuff together for my kickoff tour being at the Gateway to Alignment here in St. Louis, Missouri on 11/11. And so I'm going to put a link below. That's going to be jam-packed of all kinds of great stuff. I made a video on it. Check out the video because it's going to have the details. Hit the link on that. The outline, it might change, but the outline of that class, well, it's an all-weekend intensive. It's not even a class. It's all there. And it might change them because stuff is always coming into me. Maybe stuff added, switched, but mostly that's it. And I could not be more excited because I am bringing it into form. You are getting to witness me not only having became the I am light, I am love, I am one, and I am all that with one, but you're getting to witness me take that into an expanded version because I'm listening and I'm showing up and I'm asking every day, how may I serve? And everything you need for that journey will appear. I can promise you. So, okay. Much love to you. May you always face fears, find freedom, and glow forward on fire. Namaste.